Good morning. Today's one of our first fives. So, the truth is, there are all kinds of stories about Jesus that we find in the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John are full of stories about the life and teachings of Jesus. Some of them are really simple to grasp, and then we look at them like, oh, totally get what he's talking about. Other times, we read it and we go, hey, Jesus, I'm not sure you meant what you said. Can we tweak it a little bit? Because I think I like it more if I can say it a little differently than you said it. And so today's text from Mark chapter 3 is one of those I wish I could tweak it and change it and make it a little bit different. But then I'll tell you why. I think at the end of the day, what Jesus says is probably better than what I would say. And here's what happens. This is from Mark chapter 3, beginning with verse 31. I should probably give some backstory to this. Jesus has just been teaching and people think he's crazy. He's saying all kinds of stuff and he's doing all kinds of miraculous things. He's healed some people, he's driven out demons. I mean, he's done some crazy stuff, and people are coming to listen from all over. He's called his 12 disciples to be his followers, but his family's not so sure. And so here's what happens and then here we are. Then Jesus' mother and brothers arrived. Standing outside, they sent someone in to call him. A crowd was sitting around him, and they told him, "Your mother and brothers are outside looking for you." Here's Jesus' response. "Who are my mother and my brothers?" he asked. Then he looked at those seated in a circle around him and said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does God's will is my brother and sister and mother." Wait a minute. Jesus, your mom and your brothers are hanging out outside and they're here to talk to you, and you were pretty dismissive of them like it's your mom. And she said to come outside. And Jesus responds, "See these people here? They've committed to doing the will of my Father. And whoever does the will of my Father, what he eventually says is, whoever follows me, they're my family." And like, yeah, but Jesus, she like gave birth to you? You came from her? And he's like, yeah, I get that. And you grew up with these guys, they're your brothers, you should look after them or take care of them. Like that's what you're called to. And he says, no, here's who my family is. Those who do the will of my Father. But what about, and see, here's where for some of us, like, if you come from a good family, you're like, wait, I'm supposed to reject my parents? I'm supposed to reject my siblings? I'm supposed to not care for them? It's not what he's saying. But he's making clear that as people who've committed to being a part of God's family, who commit this life in which we're to love others, we have to recognize there may be moments when what we do in life doesn't make sense even to our family. He's been teaching and people are like, no, this guy, he's saying crazy stuff. Mary, will you come get him and take him home? She's going, no, like you don't always understand. See, sometimes when we come to know the depth of God's love for us, when we come to know that Jesus called us, we go, well, I'm sorry, mom or dad or brother or sister. I can't shake what I know God has done in my life. I can't shake what he's telling me to share with other people. And I'm sorry you don't see it the same way I do. But at the end of the day, if I've got to pick God or you, I pick him. Because no matter how much you love me, I know he loves me even more. In fact, I know he calls me to love others and embrace other people as family, because the kingdom of God, the family of God, is not defined necessarily by birthright. And so sometimes I've got to care for other people. He's not saying not to care for your own family, because we can look all throughout the scriptures and see that that's not what he's saying. But he is making it clear that our obedience matters, and there should be something unique about what we eventually call the church, about the way we care for one another. Because see, one of the amazing things we see in John chapter 10, Jesus says it this way. He says, "They will know you are my disciples by the way you love one another." Right? It's not surprising we would love people in our own family. Like, that's pretty normal. But it's pretty surprising we would love people who aren't our family by birth in the same way that we love our family. And so Jesus' words here, he says this, "Whoever does God's will is my brother and sister and mother." And so do we embrace that as true as well in our lives? Or if we're not careful, what Jesus is really getting at here is sometimes we make our own immediate family an idol. And our immediate family trumps everyone else's family, and they're more important than everyone else. And what Jesus is saying, no, like, you need to treat other people as if they're your family as well. Now, I know this is a hard teaching. Like I said, I would like Jesus to kind of not say what he says here, but he says the same thing in other Gospels. And so I think he means it. As this invitation for us to live as if we are in God's unique family and to love others as if they are our family really is the call of followers of Jesus. And so may you and I embrace that as true in our lives today. And may we find the grace of God to know how to have hard conversations with our mother and brothers and sisters and even dads, because that sometimes has to happen too. May you recognize that today may be a hard teaching for us, and we may have to spend some more time wrestling with it, and maybe another time we can. But today I want you to know this. The more we seek after Jesus, the more we seek to follow him, the more he says, hear my mother and brothers and sisters. Here's my family. And so here's what we know. Jesus invites us to be his sibling, to know his love, to follow after him so we can know the depth of the Father's love. May your day be filled with knowing the depth of the Father's love. We'll see you next time.